Okay, there's a town in a suburb of Denver called Commerce City. People are dying because they're surrounded by an oil terminal and a pet food factory and a Superfund site, and they're dying, and he does nothing. He does nothing about it, nor do the senators, Bennett and Hickenlooper.
Well, why do you suppose that is? I mean, if he is not...
Because he takes money from the fossil fuel industry. I'll bet you anything.
Okay, but we're talking, if the folks out there don't know who we're talking about, he's a liberal Democrat.
He's a Democrat who is, this is really weird. This is what his constituents say, that he's a Democrat who is a libertarian.
So?
He doesn't like regulations. Well, we live in a soup of toxic chemicals. If we don't regulate it, we're all going to die of cancer.
That's true.
And he doesn't do anything about it.
There's also many regulations that aren't necessary, that aren't. I mean, you really don't believe that the state we live in, California, is lacking regulation. There's over 300,000 regulations. I mean,
Well, maybe they're needed.
They're not. When I tried to put in a garage door, I had to have 3 inspections. There should have been none. I should be allowed to change my garage door.
Are you kidding? Really? It was about a garage door?
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that is...
No, you know this about California. Come on.
No, I don't.
Well,
I'm sorry, I don't.
You've never heard that California is overtaxed and overregulated? That we are a one-party state where there's sort of no checks on that sort of extreme leftism. And that, what do you think?
I don't for a minute consider California a state that is extreme leftist.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. You know how we do it on CTV O'Clock. Let's dive right into the video.
Not at all, not any way.
Well, that shows where your politics are. That's not where mine are. I'm sorry to tell you, is because that, I've been saying this on my show, there is 2 parts of the Trump coalition. There's about a third of this country who always loved the hard right wing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Birch Society. We're old enough to remember the John Birch Society.
I had family members who were John Birch.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And these were people who were happy when Kennedy got assassinated. They became the birthers. They became the Tea Party. There's about a third of this country that's very hard right.
Mm-hmm.
Of course they love Trump. When he left office, he had an approval rating of 34%. So he really only had those people.
Mm-hmm.
Why is he now like tied? Because the other part of the coalition are people who, they don't really like him that much. They just think the far left has gone so nutty on so many issues.
That's what they're being told.
That's what
by people like you.
Because it's true. You think the far left does nothing crazy?
Oh, I'm sure they do.
Oh, well then...
But I don't know, who is the far left? What do you mean when you say far left?
I mean, I could give you a million examples.
Yeah, well, give me one.
Okay, the NAACP.
You think the NAACP is far left?
Could I finish my sentence?
Yes.
You asked me for an example.
Yeah.
The NAACP last year issued a travel advisory. You know, that's like the State Department does to go to, I'm sure when you went to Vietnam, they were advising you not to. There's a war on it.
I didn't talk to them. I don't have no.
I know, but you know a travel advisory.
Yeah.
Today we have them for very dangerous countries.
Yeah.
Don't go to North Korea. Don't go to Iran.
Yeah.
You know where they issued a travel advisory for Black people not to go?
Yeah.
Florida. Every day there's stories like that that just makes people roll their eyes and go, are you people nuts? Even if they don't matter that much, I don't think one person listened to this and thought, I can't go to Florida. But they just suggest something to the average person, which I completely understand, which is, wow, do you people ever find anything that's ridiculous? Do you really think men can get pregnant? You know, that kind of stuff. And I understand that a trans woman can get pregnant. That's different than a man getting pregnant. And the way they sort of insist on blurring that line is if that's some sort of reasonable social cause, as opposed to just being for having full rights, respect, and protection for trans people. We get that.
So I've never heard about men getting pregnant. I've never heard about this argument. It must be some part of what you call the far left that is so minuscule that I, who am...
No, Jane.
What?
It's not minuscule, and I'm sorry you can't throw this back on us. I assume it's because you are locked into media that just never wants anyone in their audience to know anything sketchy about the blue team.
Well,
And that's
I mean, I don't know. I read 2 papers, and yeah. I maybe I don't. I should watch Fox News more,
no,
I guess.
I don't watch. That's too far. But you don't have to. I mean, I'm not going to torture myself.
I'm for the team that understands that everybody should have the same opportunities, that everybody should
So
be
am
able
I.
to attain a middle-class life,
That's right.
that
Yes. That's not what we're talking about.
childcare should be. I mean, this isn't far left.
No, that isn't. It's interesting. The Democratic politicians generally in this country are not far left. They don't stand up to the crazy when they hear it. That's true. But they themselves, like after 2020, a big rallying cry was defund the police. You remember that?
Yeah, I was critical of that.
Okay. And so were most Democratic politicians. The Republicans try.
I know where it comes from, though. I mean, I understand where the desire to do something about a police force that all too often is willing to shoot Black people. But defund the police, I knew, was a very bad political slogan.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot we could unpack there, but that certainly has been the history of this country, was police who were all too willing to shoot Black people. So defund the police, though, was not a good idea. And you know who mostly didn't think it was a good idea was Black people, because they want police in their neighborhoods, probably more than we need them in ours. But the Republicans tried to catch the Democrats with this, and they put this on, they brought it up in Congress.
Yeah.
And all the Democrats voted against it. The Democratic politicians were not for defunding the police. It's that radical fringe that has captured a lot of the media, academia, some of these cultural institutions that are not liberal anymore by my old school liberalism. The ACLU was all about free speech. They don't really believe in it anymore. They believe, I mean, in one of their chief people who is trans said, I will die on this hill of banning this book, which was a very reasonable book about a subject that's still debatable.
What was the subject of the book?
How we should treat kids who say they are trans.
Oh, yeah.
Which is one of those issues, I think, which is, there's a centrist position that's like, yes, of course, it's a real thing that we should deal with, but we are a country that does it in a way no other country does anymore.
How so?
Allowing no age limits and do it by self-diagnosis of the child, and make it illegal in some places to tell the parent if the kid is in school and has transitioned using a different name and so forth. I've heard them say it's outing the child. Outing to a parent? I think a parent should be able to know pretty much what their kid's doing.
Yeah, normally, yeah. There are probably situations where the parents, maybe the child is being incested, or
that is why they do it, because.
But you know what I feel? I feel like you're taking a problem that exists. There is somewhere some pretty dismissible and far left thing, and you're making it a big issue, and I don't think it is.
This is the argument people say, and my answer to that is, I don't think you know. You're saying I don't know. I think you don't know how pervasive some of this stuff is, and you're right. Many schools, it's just like school was sort of in our day. I talk to parents, and some of them say that, but there's also undeniable. You can see, like, you don't need a filter of any sort of media to see teachers who are making TikToks and telling you about how they conduct their class and so forth. And I imagine my parents would not approve of some of that stuff. And it's okay. It's okay. We want to have a world where the kids understand that it's okay to be whatever you are, gay, trans, black, white. This is old school liberalism. It's another thing to sort of put out the idea so much that you might not be the default setting. You know, there is a default setting. That doesn't mean it's better. It's just a
No,
different
I don't understand what you mean when
male and female.
Mhm.
Like
What's the default setting is?
that babies are born either male or female.
Uh-huh.
But there is variations. That doesn't mean it's worse. And we respect it just as much.
Yeah.
But that's not what they do. That's not what a lot of the TikToks are about. They're not, it's a lot.
I know this because I've been around longer than you have, and what I have always noticed is
Barely.
that the beginning of any movement, people are very radical and very, I don't know what the right word is, but you know, and then it kind of like joins reality more, and I think
Yeah.
that's.
Yeah, like I said, the Democratic politicians, I feel like by and large they do live in reality. They're in it more for the right reasons. They're more likely to be policy wonks and actually know the details. Republicans, very few of them ever know any detail. That's just not where their mind goes. You know, Bush, Reagan, Trump. You know, you think of them and you don't think of them like really mastering the subject, like Obama, Hillary Clinton, you know, Bill Clinton. They were wonks.
OMG, I don't know where to begin. Is Jane really that daft? She truly has no idea what she's talking about. A shining example of why no one should ever take any advice from celebrities. Remember, this person demonized her father for being a conservative and stated she forgave him for his politics after his death. Every time Bill brings up something crazy that the left does, Jane pretends she's never heard of it. She tries to play dumb and act like she doesn't know any of this stuff is happening when she definitely know it is. This is my biggest issue with people on the left. We need to hold them accountable to and remind them of things they have said, done, and acknowledged in the past. Housing is not a race problem. It is a poverty issue. As white Americans that are poor, they also have difficulty getting mortgages. I don't think many American people quite realize the sheer mass of the cannonball they just dodged by electing Trump. I'm glad we showed these celebrities that they are in fact irrelevant. Jane, if we are really concerned about the climate, we do not need Hollywood at all. All actors need to get other jobs, and we need to quit wasting money making movies and TV shows. Think about all of the energy we can save and the money not being spent with the end of that one industry. You first, Jane. If you and your rich, liberal, progressive Hollywood friends will give up your wealth, I will give up mine. I'm so sick of people saying there's a climate crisis. We have only kept track of the weather for less than 150 years. The planet is estimated 100 seconds of billions of years old. 150 years as a baseline is nothing. Without a baseline, you can't make an accurate prediction about the planet, never mind the future. She thinks 3 inspections are required to replace a garage door because she doesn't know anything about garage doors. And that's how endless regulations and laws get created, by people that don't know anything about anything. This woman talks about politics much the same way like Bill Maher did a year ago. The difference is Bill Maher started to educate himself when he was getting called out for his ignorance. This woman is 100% clueless and doesn't care to change. She obviously has enough money that any issues she has is somebody else's problem. Goes to show how far removed these celebrities are. They shouldn't be giving advice to anyone. Just go back into your bubble and enjoy all of your millions while the rest of us live in reality.